Ousted South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has arrived in criminal court for his first formal hearing. The former president faces charges of orchestrating a rebellion and has been accused of being the ringleader of an insurrection. The convoy carrying Yoon arrived at the courthouse in Seoul, with some of his supporters cheering him outside the building. Yoon was impeached last December after declaring martial law and allegedly ordering South Korean soldiers to storm the country's National Assembly. The crime of insurrection is punishable by life imprisonment or even death in South Korea. Yoon has denied any wrongdoing. He called his martial law decree a legitimate act of governance. Journalist Fabian Kretschmer joins me now from Seoul for more on this story. So Fabian, these are some pretty serious charges Yoon is facing. Tell us more about the evidence against him.
Well, I think the evidence is mainly based around two key witnesses among the South Korean military leadership. So what they are saying is that Yoon Suk-yeol ordered them to drag out lawmakers out of the parliamentary building. So to give you some idea, in the early of December, 3rd of December, Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law. And during this martial law decree, those generals, those key witnesses are saying that Yoon Suk-yeol also tried to prevent parliamentarians to vote this martial law decree down. How did he do so? By attempting to seal off the parliamentary building, by trying to arrest several lawmakers, and also by trying to drag the present lawmakers out of that building. So those are really very heavy accusations. Yoon Suk-yeol is denying all of those. And but if he is found to be guilty, then this would carry a very long prison sentence, possibly a lifelong prison sentence. And in theory, it could also carry a death penalty.
Now, despite the charges against him, many Koreans still stood by Yoon throughout his impeachment. Now that he's been removed from office, are people still backing him through this trial?
Well, he still has several loyal supporters. I think they still support him, maybe even more so. They see him as a victim of a politicized campaign. They also see him as a defender of Korean values, of Korean democracy. So that the whole society is very divided, but not only the society, but also the Korean Conservative Party. So basically Yoon's party. And there will be new elections in the beginning of June. And so the burden of Yoon Suk-yeol could be actually quite difficult in which direction the conservative faction will go forward. On the one hand, they could nominate a politician for the new election who will also support Yoon and who will try to carry his legacy forward, or they could nominate a presidential candidate who is distancing himself from Yoon Suk-yeol. This is really very difficult to decide, because not only the population is very divided when it comes to Yoon Suk-yeol, but also the Conservative Party itself. So I would say he still has some followers and supporters, but not as many as he used to have before.
It does seem that South Korea is at a political crossroads. That was journalist Fabian Kretschmer in Seoul. Thank you for joining us.